Hello everyone, welcome back to Code with Beto. In today's video, we're diving into how to use EAS Update for sending over-the-air updates to your deployed applications. We'll walk through everything from configuring EAS credentials, understanding what EAS Update is and how it works, to sending our first over-the-air update. Plus, we'll implement some logic to automatically check for updates in your application. If that sounds interesting to you, let's get started. Okay guys, so for this video, I'll be using one of my apps that I have in the projects at codewithbeto.dev. So if you go there, you should be able to see all these projects. And in today's video, I'm going to be using the Snake app that I built like almost 2 years ago, as you can see here. But if you are interested in the code of this app, you can just scroll down and hit on the GitHub icon here. By the way, when you go to Code with Beto, make sure to check out the courses that we offer. I have one for React and TypeScript. We're using Next.js, and that's perfect for those who are learning React with TypeScript before jumping into very complex stuff with React Native. And for those who want to learn the basics of React Native, I also have this React Native course, and I'm working on a course as well on Git and GitHub. And by the way, I'll be updating the React Native course in the following days, starting this weekend. So make sure to check them out. And that being said, let's see the project that I have here. So this is the Snake project that we're gonna be using. And by the way, I also have a video in this YouTube channel that you can check out. And if you want to learn how to build this app step by step, you can just check out the video. But the idea is that once you have a project and you want to, start deploying it, you should, if you're going to be using Expo application services or EAS Build to build the application, we need to set up updates. So in order to set updates, by the way, I also wanted to show you this really good documentation from the Expo docs. They have this guide on getting started with EAS, and we're going to be referencing this. And by the way, I want to take this chance to talk a little bit about what is EAS Update. So EAS Update is a service from Expo that allows you to send updates to your application over the air. You might hear of the term OTAs, over the air updates. And basically the way EAS Updates works is by using the Expo Updates library, which actually is an open source library that you can use if you want to host everything by yourself. You can do it, but I would recommend that you use Expo since it's actually free, with some limits, of course. You can go to the pricing to understand what are the limits, but to get started, I think it's more than enough. Now, before we jump into creating our first build and update, I want you guys to really understand the concepts. So let's go to the concepts here and click on the how it works, because this is very important. Basically, when we create a React Native application, it's going to be composed of two things or two layers. The first one is going to be the native layer, and the second part is going to be the update layer, or the piece of the app that we can actually update. So because we're going to be sending these over-the-air binaries or pieces of JavaScript, not all the changes that we do in our application are going to be compatible with the deployed version of our application. So in other words, for example, let's say that I create a Hello World application and then I push it to the app stores, and then I suddenly realize that we have a typo. So we need to fix that typo. So because fixing that typo, it's going to require me just to change one text in my React Native code or JavaScript code. That is totally fine. And that will go into the update layer, as you can see in this image, because I'm changing JavaScript, or it also includes images and assets. But let's say that we, deploy the application and then we started integrating in-app purchases, or we changed the app icon, or we integrated Stripe or something like that, and then we installed some dependencies that require native code, and then we rebuild our application, and then we want to send an update with all these changes. In that case, the current update won't be compatible with the deployed version. So that's kind of the limitation. You cannot send updates to an application updates that contain native changes, right? We need to make sure that the updates that we're going to be sending are compatible with the current deployed version or with the current native layer in the deployed version. So I hope that makes sense. Now let's go ahead and start configuring our EAS update. First of all, let's go to the getting started and scrolling down. First of all, we need to make sure that we have the EAS CLI installed in our computer. And if you don't know, if you already have the EAS CLI, you can simply run EAS-B, and this should give you the version as you can see here. Now, if you don't have the CLI, you can simply run npm install globally EAS CLI, and that will install the latest version of EAS. The second thing that you need to do is log in into your Expo account. By the way, this brings me to you have to have an Expo account. If you don't have one, just go to expo.dev and create an account. As you can see here, I have my account and I even have some projects in here. So let's go ahead and come back here. And then we can check if I say EAS, who am I? And hit enter, this is going to let me know that I'm signed in as Beto at Expo, which is my personal account. If you are not signed in the CLI, you can simply run EAS login and then follow the flow to get to enter your credentials and sign in. Now let's init a new EAS project by running EAS init, and I'll choose my account, my personal one, and then select yes. This is going to start creating my project. And in fact, if I go back to the Expo website and reload, I should be able to see now the snack game, as you can see here. So if I select my snack game, you can see we have some things in here, and it's created, but we haven't configured anything. Expo has services for build, hosting, updates. And here you can see that we need to run this command, which is EAS update configure. Let's try to run this command. This is going to start installing the Expo updates. And if we check the difference here, you can see that now we changed some things in the app.json as well as in the package.json. If I scroll, if I come here, you can see that we have the Expo updates. By the way, I'm using an old version of Expo, but it should be fine for this simple game. So yeah, this command installed the Expo updates as well as the updates in my app.json. So that's it for configuring an update, but we actually need to configure EAS build so that we can build our application, right? Now, after that, let's run this command, EAS build configure, and hit enter. I'll just configure now for iOS since I don't want to waste too much of your time, but if you want to build for both platforms, simply select all, or Android if you want to build just for Android. This command, it's going to create this EAS JSON file. And in this EAS JSON file, you'll find these build profiles. And we can use these build profiles to trigger builds on EAS. And as you can see, we can extend this configuration or just leave it as it is. By default, it comes with development, preview, and production. So one thing to notice in these build profiles is that we have this channel property. And this channel property is going to be used by EAS update to send the update. So for example, when we run EAS update from the CLI, we can specify which build to update, right? By saying the channel, just saying update preview, update production, update development. Okay, hope that makes sense. Okay, so once we have this, I think we're ready to start building our application. So I'll say EAS build, and then we can specify the profile, and I'll choose preview. And by the way, preview is the profile recommended to test updates, since basically it's going to create a standalone application that can be installed on any device. And also, if you use development, you're gonna need to have the server running to be able to run this application, because we are saying that we want to use the development client, right? So let's just use preview, which is going to, like I mentioned before, create like a production-like application, but just for internal distribution. So I'll just go ahead and press enter. and I'll build for iOS only. And it's asking me for my bundle identifier. So I'll just select the default one. And this is going to um, actually ask me to sign in into my Apple developer account. By the way, you need to have an Apple developer account if you want to start distributing your application internally or in production. So I already have an account, so I'll go ahead and use my account. And if you don't have an account, you need one. And if you already have an account, please go ahead and enter your credentials by following this flow. So I'll just select my Apple ID, and it's using um, my team, which is Code with Beto. I'll just go ahead and select that one. It's asking me to reuse my certificate. I would recommend that you say yes, so that you don't end up with a lot of certificates. Um, and then I can select the device that I'm going to be trying this. We can try this on my iPhone 15 Pro, which is my personal iPhone. So I'll just go ahead and select actually these two devices, but you can only select one if you want, or you can add more devices if you want as well. So this is going to kick the build. And if we go to Expo, you can see that now I actually have this build running. And a couple things to notice here is that we are using the profile preview. This is very important. And also this is the channel. The channel is the preview as well. And we configure that for updates. Cool. So let's wait a little bit until this build is finished, and then we can install it on my iPhone, and then we can send an update. Okay guys, and after a moment, my build failed. And actually I think that the build failed because my Expo version, it's actually pretty old. So let's go ahead and check the Expo version. Yeah, and I'm using 47. So what I'll do now is actually very quickly just discard the changes that I made. Okay, so I discard the changes, and I'll actually show you how to upgrade Expo. So I'll just say npx expo install Expo and hit enter. And if I go to my package, oops, and actually it's without the ads. And if I go to my package JSON, we should be able to see this version going up. Okay, now it's 51, but all these extra dependencies need to be upgraded as well. So I'll go ahead and say npx expo install, passing the flag fix, and this is going to fix all my versions. This is why Expo is great, because upgrading Expo is very easy. All right, so let's try to see if this works. I'll say yarn start. Okay, this is going to start Expo Go. And by the way, now that I'm here, I can just simply scan this with my camera. Since I'm using Expo Go, we should be good. Okay, and it's working. Awesome. And actually, I can play better with my app in my real iPhone. So yeah, now that is working with SDK 51, which is great. We can actually go ahead and try this again by running EAS update configure. Oh yeah, and my EAS JSON, it's empty, so I'll just go ahead and delete it. Let's go ahead and run EAS configure again. There's an existing project. Do you want to use it? Yes, I want to use the same project. So let's go ahead and say yes. Okay, and we should be good. Let's see if we have updates in here. Okay, we're using updates. And if I go to my app.json, okay, we can see that we have some EAS configuration in here. Oh yeah, let's say EAS build configure to create the, I'll just configure iOS for now. This is going to generate my EAS. And because we already had Expo updates installed, it's going to add the channels, which is great. Then we can say EAS build profile preview and hit enter. I'll just do this for iOS and select the same bundle identifier. We need to sign in. So let's go ahead and select the defaults. So I'll use my same devices and the build is running. Let's see if this works this time. Okay, so while the build is being processed, I want to take a moment, guys, and actually talk a little bit about runtime version. So if you remember, we were talking a little bit about how our application has two layers, the native layer and the JavaScript layer or update layer. And there is something very important here. This separation allows us to ship bug fixes to builds as long as the update with the bug fix can run on the native layer inside the build. Okay, and the runtime version property allows us to guarantee that an update is compatible with a specific build's native code. So this is why we need to set this property, and the runtime version has a policy. So if we come back, you can see that since updates must be compatible with a build's native code in order to run, anytime native code is updated, we require to make a new build before publishing an update, right? Because let's say that I add a new dependency that is using native code and I want to trigger an update. And obviously the JavaScript code that I'm going to be sending to the update might work in my local machine, but the deployed version of the application has a different runtime or a different layer of the native code, which means that once we try to combine my new update with the previous runtime version or the previous native layer, it's going to break. It's going to crash the application. And imagine if that happens in production, that would be catastrophic. So some developers only update native code when upgrading to new Expo SDK, for example, or others when they install new dependencies, right? So basically, the runtime version allows us to verify which which updates are compatible with the native code. Right now, I'm building this application, right? And the runtime version is going to be the app version, which is at the end of the day 1.0.0. So this means that when I increase, let's say, the version, or if I installed any native code, I should increase the version. And actually, EAS Update, I think it's going to handle that for me. Because I changed native code, that means that the following update, or if I try to send an update to this build that I'm deploying right now, it's not going to work. But if I just keep the same code as it is, and I only change JavaScript code, the runtime version is not going to change, which means when we send an update, the deployed or the build that we are deploying right now, it's going to be compatible with the new update. I would recommend that you left this as app version, but also you can customize the runtime version if you want. You can check the documentation, but you can change the runtime version. Basically, you just need to follow the format that we have in here. And you can also set the version for Android or iOS. So by accessing basically the app.json inside the Android. So if we go inside here, we can simply say runtime version, and then you can set it in here specifically for Android. But in this case, I think should be fine for our simple example. Alrighty guys, and finally the build is ready. We can go to the Expo dashboard and confirm that the build is ready. And actually we have a couple ways to install this build. But yeah, I guess the easiest one is going to be just scan this QR code that I have here. So let me just go ahead and open my camera and scan this. Now this is going to be a bit different now. As you can see, it's asking me if I want to install this app, and I'm gonna say yes. And it's installing it in here. So let me bring it here. Okay, and here we have it. So let's go ahead and say open it, and it's working fine. And of course, this is like a standalone application, so we don't need to do anything. It's gonna work, and I can just close the app and come back again, and it's going to work just fine. Okay, great. So we did it. Now let's start sending an update. So I'll start the server again by saying yarn start. And if I go to my Expo Go, actually now I have both here. And if I shake my device, I can trigger the developer tools and reload the app. It's going to load the bundle from here. And let's try to change something. So the first thing that actually comes to mind, it's changing the background color. So let's go to the app. And actually, I don't remember what is the background color. So let's go ahead and search for background color. I see. So we have this colors.background. Let's change this to be, just to test, to be red. Oh God, it is that one. Okay, so what color should we use? I would say let's use white. And for the primary color, I'm gonna be using black. Okay, so this gives this really nice feel, right, of the app. And what is very important here, guys, is that we only change JavaScript code or TypeScript code. If you want to say TypeScript, that's fine. Which means the changes are totally compatible with our deployed version. So if I go to my deployed version, this is like the previous version. This is going to work the exact same way. But let's go ahead and ship this now. I'll just clear the terminal and say EAS update. Actually, guys, I want to show you a very cool tip, which is passing the flag age. So if I pass the flag age, I'm going to get a bunch of information about how I can use EAS update to send my update, right? We can see the usage, we can see the flags that we can pass. So the one that I'm interested right now, it's going to be the channel. So the channel, you can see here the flag. So I can simply copy this flag and then say EAS update passing this channel. Oops, and I just went ahead and put everything together. But if you say channel, let's say preview, and you don't know what else to add in here, you can from here pass again the age, and this will let you know what else you can use, right? So I have preview. So from here, I want to select the platform. So if I do something like this, then I can have like the platform in specific that I want to send this update plus a message. So my message is going to be my first OTA with Expo. And we can even pass an emoji if you want. And let's double check before I hit enter. Basically, I'm running EAS update. I'm specifying the channel that I know that my update is compatible, or my channel that I want to ship, because ideally the preview channel is going to be used for testing, although it's like a standalone application that can be used for, like, if we were in production. Ideally, we recommend that you use preview to test before sending it to production, right? So right now, let's use preview. Let's select the platform. Since I'm only using iOS for now, I'll select platform iOS, and then we can pass a message. This is optional, but I'm going to say my first over-the-air update. From here, we can simply hit enter, and you're going to see how shipping updates. It's really cool because now we're effectively bypassing the App Store checks, right? Normally, when we deploy an application, we have to send it to App Store, and Apple has to review it and tell us that everything is right. But actually, that's done. It was very quick, and we can see some information. The update has been published, and you can see that this is compatible with the runtime version 1.0, which is my version, since I'm using my policy as app version, and my app version is going to be this one right here. So yeah, I have the update. Now, by default, I didn't did anything else, right? So if I go to my app right here, what is going to happen is that since this build was created with updates configured already, so this application knows that it's able to receive updates, right? So if I close the app and open the app again, what is happening right now is that the app, it's detecting the new update in the background, and it's downloading the update, and it's getting ready to install the update. Now at this point, I'm guessing the new build is downloaded, but it cannot be installed unless I quit the app and open the app again. So let's do that. I'll close and open. And then suddenly my app has a new background, which is pretty cool, right? So what happened in the background is that um, the update was already downloaded. And when I close and um, launch the app again, the update was installed. So that's how you can send updates. It's actually very easy. And from here, we can actually add a button if you want to check for updates manually. So if we go to the update section here in the docs, you're going to find actually a very cool code example that should be around here, updates demo. And if I press on show more, you can see that we can import all as updates from update. So let's go ahead and import this and then go to the code, and I'll just close everything for now. And inside the game, let's see what we have in here. I'll just scroll down. We have the header, so let's do it inside the header. We have some buttons in here. First of all, let me just go ahead and import all as updates from updates. And let's go ahead and create a new button that is going to be, I don't know, a check for updates maybe, and could be an icon. So I'll use the refresh icon. Oh, and I'm not able to see anything because this is going to run in Expo Go. So let's go ahead and start the server by saying yarn start and reload. Cool thing that we are using Expo Go, right? Okay, so we have our button to check for updates. That's cool. But actually it's pausing the game at the moment. So let's go ahead and just create an empty function. Let's go back to the example. And you can see that we can use this hook called use updates. And this is going to give us a bunch of information. So let's use this hook inside this component. This is giving me the current running, the is update available, and is update pending. Okay, so based on this, we can have some validations using a use effect. So let's copy this use effect. Let's put it in here and let's import this from React. So when the component mounts, we are going to check if there is an update pending. And if we do have an update pending, we can say the update has been successfully downloaded, apply it now, which is going to reload the application instantly without asking the user. I think this works fine in some cases, but if you want to add like a more custom integration, you can do it, by the way. So let's go ahead and copy these two as well. I'll just put in here. I think this is important because if true, we show the button to download and run the update, right? Show download update, and this is going to be equal to is update available. Basically, if we do have an update and this hook is going to let us know everything, we are going to show a button to download. And if we don't have anything, maybe we can check for updates, right? So current running is embedded launch. This app is running from built-in code, or otherwise this app is running from an update. This is, I guess, a cool example or cool thing to have, because when I install the application and then update, the user really doesn't know if they are running like the fresh downloaded version from the App Store or they are running an over-the-air update. And we can actually validate some logic if you need to, using this logic in here. So we can simply say check currently running and check this flag, which is embedded launch. And then based on this, we can have some logic. Let's go back to the example. And here we have a button that is basically showing the download button. And I guess we can do something like this. Let's see in here. Yeah, so instead of having this button, I'll just have a new touchable opacity, paste it in here. Okay, let's copy this and put it in here. So we have check for updates and also fetch update. So let's use these functions in here. Check for updates obviously is going to check for updates. I guess the refresh, it's the ideal button here. And if we do have an update, then we can maybe change the icon for a check, which means apply the update. So basically the fetch update async is going to download and run the update, and the check for update is going to manually check for updates. But keep in mind that we're also checking for updates when you launch the app, right? By default. So just keep that in mind. And we can add this if you want to the screen. So yeah, let's just have a text in here from React. Paste this in here. Let's hit save. This app is running an update. Cool. So yeah, let's put this on an absolute position. And then let's say bottom 0. And then let's say color gray. And then size, I don't know, 10, 11. Let's go for 10. This app is running an update. All right. But that's actually my Expo Go though. I don't know why he's saying that. Okay, so let's go ahead and after these changes, again, keep in mind that we only changed JavaScript code, so we're totally okay to send a new update to the same runtime version. So I'm gonna say my second over-the-air update with Expo and hit enter. So this should be very quickly. Let's go ahead and close this Snake app. Okay, almost there. Cool, in real time. Okay, my second update. Let's go ahead and open the Snake. We don't see anything, but in the background, it's downloading the new button. So let's go again. Okay, and it's saying this app is running an update. Cool. Now, I had to close and reopen the app, but now we integrated this logic that allows me to manually check for updates, right? And if we do have an update, we should show this button, which is going to be the check. So let's go ahead and do something. Let's say that I want to center this text. So I'll say text align center. And oh yeah, it's not doing it because it's position absolute. Maybe I can say left 50%. Is that possible or no? It's possible, but I'm running the actual app, not the Expo Go version. So let's go ahead and run this and say yarn start, refresh the app. Let's wait a second. Okay, so yeah, it did something. So it moved. Let me go ahead and just change this to be 35 maybe. Yeah, that looks okay to me. And what else? Bottom 1. I think that's okay. Now let's ship this update. Let's say EAS update. This is going to be my third OTA with Expo. So let's go ahead and hit enter. And now let's go to the app. So far I've been using the app. Okay. I've been using the app and we don't have anything, right? And let's say that suddenly, I don't know, I want to check for updates. So let's press this button. And we do have an update, which means now I can see this check icon. And to apply this update, I can simply press this button, which is going to call my fetch update async, which basically is going to apply the update, in other words. So let's go ahead and do that. And ta-da! The app refreshed. And that means that now I'm running the latest version. And also that means that I'm not going to be showing this button anymore until I have a new update, and I can keep on checking. But so far we're good. And now we're running the latest version. Now, just for fun, let's change something that requires native code changes or recompile the native layer of my application. And one of the things that would require to create a new build is actually adding an icon for my app. So let's go ahead and add an icon. So what I'll do is that I'll borrow an icon that I have here. And this icon is from one app that I'm working on. So what I'll do is just delete this icon and just change the name of this to be icon.png. And basically, if I try to send this in an update, this won't work because now I would need to recompile the native code in order to see these changes. But just for fun, let's go ahead and try this. And I'll just go ahead and say add new icon and hit enter. I'm trying to use the same runtime version. So if I go to my app, JSON, okay, cool. So the update, it's published, as you can see. Let's see, what else? Nothing out of the ordinary. Same info, same version. And let's go ahead and see the app. It's working. I'm going to check for updates. And I do have an update. So let's go ahead and apply this update. And yeah, it was applied. Now let's close the app and reopen it. But it's not working, right? So this update, of course, didn't break the app because I only changed an image, and the current deployed app version can handle this. But if I were to change something else, it might happen that the app breaks. So yeah, this update didn't do anything because again, we changed something that requires the native code to be recompiled. So in this case, we need to trigger a build again, right? So ideally, you would have like something that increases your version. So for now, I'll just do it manually. It's going to be version, the next version, and then I'll just build the preview profile for iOS. And I need to set my credentials again. So let's go ahead and say yes for everything. All right, and it's building. Of course, this is going to take some time because, when we build stuff, we need to wait. And of course, when you build something and you already have your app in production, you need to go through the App Store reviews in order to deploy this new version. But hopefully, once you have this version deployed, we should be able to keep sending updates. Okay, guys, and the app is ready. And if we go to the dashboard, let me go ahead and reload here. What I want to show you guys is that now my new build is running on a different runtime version, which is 1.01.1. Same channel preview. Of course, you would have different channels for production and development and things like that. But yeah, also on the left, I wanted to mention that we can check the deployments that we have. So if I go to the deployments, you can see that I have the first one that I created. This one, it's the one that failed because I was using SDK 47. So please don't pay attention to that one. And also you can see the, like the add new icon message that I attached to these updates. Also, we can see the updates, the runtimes. So we have, in this case, 3. I was using first the SDK 47, so I would say we have 2. And we also have channels. The only active channel that I have so far is preview. And if I click on preview, I'm going to get more information about this channel, like the ID, when it was created, when was last updated, and what else we have here? We also have branches. Oh yeah, I think I'm using preview. That's my branch. And I can check what's going on in here. This is why it's good to have like a message on each update so that I can know, okay, what was going on in this case, right? So for example, if I want to just maybe go back to my first over the air update with Expo, I can double check that it's only deployed for iOS. I can copy the group and just click on this in specific. And in here, I can view metadata or even republish. So let's say that I broke something. I can come here and republish. And now my first over-the-air update should be available. So let's try to see if I check for an update. I can see that there is one update, but this update actually will remove my refresh and check icon, I think. Yeah, it's bringing me back to the previous version, which is, I guess, good. You can undo things, but let's go ahead and promote the third. I think that's the good one. Let's republish this one. And just like that, but in this case, I need to close and reopen the app to do this basically the hard way. And yeah, there we go. There we go. It's working. So this is great. This can actually save you tons of time. But yeah, let's go back to the build, which now contains my icon. So I can just install it from here. Let me go ahead and just to show you that it's not using the latest icon. So if I open my camera and install the latest one, okay, and let's just close this. It's updating. And here we have it. I guess I want to say when you are dealing with native stuff, you have to create a build. And if you are dealing with JavaScript, you have to create an update, or you can create an update, which is more practical and fast. But I would recommend that you keep updates like for hot fixes, not very crazy changes or maybe huge integrations. Even if you're using just JavaScript, I would keep it simple. And if you are doing something that requires like a lot of changes in the code, I would recommend to test and create a build, create a new runtime that you can use to then send updates. And I guess that's it for this video, guys. That's all I wanted to show you. We really covered many cool topics like setting up your EAS credentials, building using the preview profile, setting up updates, triggering updates, checking for updates manually, checking for updates the hard way, how to, send a new update once we changed native code or we changed something that requires recompile the native code. And yeah, so we also learned how to upgrade from SDK 47 to 51. So I hope you like this video. I hope you find it valuable. And if you find it helpful, please give it a like and subscribe. Check out codewithbeto.dev. Check out the courses if you're interested in mastering React with TypeScript. And stay tuned for the new updates to the React Native course. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.